Hello, hello. Good evening. Bonsoir. Salut mon petit frère. Hi Oliver. So, I don't know if you've got fireworks going off where you are, but all of my animals are a little bit scared at the moment of all the explosions outside. Those poor animals. I don't understand why we do these things. So, good evening. Welcome back to a Wednesday session. Had to think then it is Wednesday. With Yvie Johnson, illustrator and writer from Denbigh, North Wales. And Wednesday is a Femmes Folktales session. And tonight I'm going to be doing more with one of the Folktale Week prompts, which is charm. And to be honest, I don't think I've done much homework on this because I've been quite poorly. Oh, I did a little bit of homework. Look at that. Look at that basket. That was some brain work, that was. And yeah, I'm going to carry on with this one. I'd like to get it done, even if it's just doing the line work. So Oliver says, yes, we do have fireworks. Most are fine, but some are far too loud for a residential area. Yeah, we get the main ones for Denbigh, which happen up at the castle up on the hill, which sounds quite spectacular. And I suppose if you're seeing it for the first time, it's great. However, for the hour before that, you get these sporadic ones happening all over the place where people just let them off in their gardens, and they're like singular just annoyances of, so there's like continued explosions going on from 6 till about 7:30, or even further later on tonight, because people have their own fireworks displays. And I just wish we'd modernise this whole thing. You know, the fireworks displays was in connection to Guy Fawkes, which was obviously down at London. It was to do with the wanting to blow up Parliament at the time because of the political situation. And okay, so nothing much has changed, but we don't actually need actual explosions. We can use light displays that are modern and have no sound and don't fizzle out and don't set fire to anything. So yeah, I'm sure this will come up every year until somebody gets their act together within the local council to say, right, let's not do this anymore because we know that it's a health hazard for all of our animals and anybody with PTSD. So we have, for me, the ethics are quite clear. For some people, it's still not. It's about celebrating something that happened, when was it, 400 years ago? Anyway, that's it. That was my pedestal moment, for my soapbox moment for fireworks night. Anyway, so how you guys doing? I still haven't got my closed captioner sorted. I'm sorry. I need to speak to Jane about it. She's got a brilliant closed caption thing going on. 420 years ago, to be more precise, Oliver lets me know. Oliver, ça va toi? Oui. j'ai eu la grippe. J'ai pris tous mes antibiotics and probiotics and prebiotics and apparently there's more still to deal with, so I need to make more doctor's appointments and get referrals. So even though the worst of it is gone, the majority of the pain has gone, I'm still full of a cold. And I'm just trying to rest as much as I can. Yeah. So Oliver says, I don't mind the normal fireworks, it's just that some of them sound like a neighbour's house has exploded, which is unnecessary. Yeah, especially when someone decides at like 1 in the morning, oh, let's set off the fireworks that we haven't set off or that we forgot to set off, and then it's like, has somebody been shot somewhere? Was that a shotgun? Was that an actual explosion? I mean, yeah. Oliver says, I mean, maybe several of the neighbours' houses have exploded. I ain't getting up to check. This must be a nightmare for emergency services, because there will be some people thinking, no, there is an explosion happening and I can't see fireworks. Something must have exploded. The confusion. Okay. Any of you guys doing Folktale Week? I've thought, right, I'm gonna at least get the line work done for all 7 pieces, and that'll be 7, in my mind, completed pieces. If I just share what the prompts are again, come back to OBS. So these are the prompts up there in the right hand corner, and Folktale Week starts 17th of November and goes through to the 23rd. I've decided it's Folktale Week till the end of the year, so that I can get them all done. And it gives me something to work on every week. And then in January, I'll start back with the Femmes portion of Femmes and Folktales, and I'll move back over to all of my master redraws. So I've got Frida Kahlo, I've got Georgia O'Keeffe. Well, some of them are masters redraws and some of them are women of the arts. So I've got 2 different ones running at the same time. And yeah, so I've got Frida Kahlo, Georgia O'Keeffe, I've got Maud Lewis, Canadian folktale artist. Not folktale, but yeah, folktale, not folktale. Folkish art. Folk art. Who else have I got? Gosh, I can't remember on the list. There's so many of them. Oh, Alphonse Mucha as one of the master redraws, which I'm looking forward to. Can you hear the explosions outside? I feel like my body's booming. So whilst I do this, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to be finishing off my blueberries. I'm trying to get my vitamin C in to help with my recovery. Whilst I do that, let's start looking at getting this line work done. So I'm actually still using a pencil, I noticed, and I was umming and ahhing about whether to change to an ink pen, and I've decided if I just stick with a line work and then removing, I still get these lovely lines, and everything sort of has a bit of a softness to it. Right, yeah, so I'd worked on the bottom shelf, and I'm going to now work on this second shelf up. Oliver thinks it should be Folktale month. Folktale season. Let's give it a good 3 months. There's my second shelf. I'm just going to turn down the shelves that I don't need now. Well, I suppose I hadn't finished that bottom one. I haven't done the writing on the labels. Never mind, right? I wonder what a lot of these books are actually. I like to think that some of them are poetry, some of them are potions, notes, thick notebooks. If I was a bit more prepared, I could have maybe done a sheep skull in here as well, because there's ample sheep around where this character lives. And I was actually looking at the maps of this area of like well, actually I was looking more over to Blaenau Festiniog. Looking for farms, you know, from the early 1800s or mid 1800s at least. I love the fact that you can access really detailed maps with all the farm names labelled, and even in those maps they've got areas. There's an amphitheatre near Blaenau Festiniog. There's Roman ruins where there's actually, and it's in the map, and I never realised that for some reason I've like taken out Roman ruins as anything possible. In 19th century Wales, it was like they haven't found it yet, or Oliver says just anywhere in Wales there's ample sheep. I know, but there's so much and whether, you know, sheep grazing is the right way to treat the land is a different sort of conversation. But farmland had you had to know how to live in the mountains effectively, because these are really rugged areas. You had all the quarry builders' houses where they've built the towns and the railways connecting them, and then you've got all the farmland around. But even in those areas, there's historic, extra historic characteristics that are being preserved. I really loved looking at old maps. I can't remember what the name of the site is. I think I used the National Library of Scotland, who have a great resource for maps. And these aren't just maps of Scotland, they're maps from around the UK. So yeah, that's exciting. I love maps. I have this sort of, I can very much imagine myself in a former life being a cartographer and enjoying walking the terrain and drawing every boulder that is significant to make sure that it's ordered. Well, I have noticed that all of my books are quite the same sort of thickness. Let's try a different size. Oliver's got maps from what era? So this is like I think the one I was specifically looking at was drawn mid 19th century, and the detail is just beautiful. It's like the houses, the land of the farms, the farm buildings, and even the houses in the towns on the streets. They're just drawn with detail. So Oliver's got 2 books, maps from early ages of mapping, and one is from Tudor times. I can imagine that might have been easier because there were fewer buildings. I mean, obviously by mid 19th century there's such industrialisation, even here in Wales, that there are a lot of people in a lot of houses to draw. quite get the detail on this that I'd like. Sometimes this idea I've got of doing it, drawing and then removing, isn't quite working. Right, and then that probably look good with with a little one filling that space. Hey Penny, good to see you. I think I've been quite absent from everyone's streams recently. I've been quite poorly, and I'm aware that I've got to catch up with everybody. Sometimes blueberries can really be quite tart. I warm all of my blueberries up and raspberries inside a hot water bottle. Because I really can't stand... Here's me choking on them now. I can't stand cold fruit. I think it's just too shocking for my sensitivities. So I tend to have a hot water bottle, and the hot water bottle's got a very fluffy cover with a pouch so you can put your hands in. But I put my fruit in a bowl, and I put the bowl in the pouch so it actually warms up all of the fruit, so they're less freezing. Oh, Penny, you can't stream tomorrow. Oh, you've got a shoulder injury. Oh, I bet you're feeling miserable with that. Sucks. I didn't miss much. I just miss being with you guys. Chatting about random stuff. Oh, you get your x-ray on the 12th. I hope it's nothing serious, and that, you know, it's something that just needs some rest to recover from. Is this your weightlifting that has potentially affected it? A torn labrum. Don't know which part of the body that is. Labrum. Rotator cuff? on the rotating the shoulder. Yeah, I mean, when we have our x-rays and stuff done, we have to wait for somebody to review the x-rays. You go and get an x-ray done, but you have to wait for it to be reviewed, and then that information is then sent over to your GP, and then you get a message to come and either visit the GP. So it's never a quick x-ray. Thorn rotator. I did that. My goodness, I know what that pain is. I did that when I was 13 years ago. I was a netballer, playing netball, and I also then started to lift some weights, and so I was lifting them fly, and I just overdid it, and I ended up tearing my left rotator cuff. And I was a police officer still at the time. I'm just wearing my body vest. Oh my god, it was just like I couldn't sleep at night on my left hand side, and then all the weight of my vest also pressing down. It was horrific. So 6 months it recovered, and then after 6 months I had a steroid injection into the muscle just to sort of give it some extra recovery. And it's funny enough, the doctor that I saw, the surgeon I saw, said just by having 6 months off doing any exercise and not using the arm was basically what is something he would have suggested. I could have had the steroid injection a lot earlier. It would have hurt a lot more. So yeah, and I remember that being the most awful pain. So I feel for you. Not nice. Yeah. Oliver says, yeah, talking about getting x-rays, it's just as slow here, we just don't pay for the annoyance. That's true. And you're hypermobile as well. Oh. Yeah, so they're very bendy and they get irritated. All 3 of my kids are hypermobile. I'm not. Flexible, but not hypermobile. The only time that's ever really been an issue being hypermobile, my middle kid had what called mallet fingers. So the very tip of each finger could be individually bent. I mean, I can't. If I bend my fingers, it basically bends at the knuckle. You know, the middle knuckle, the knuckle on the hand, and then there's the middle knuckle of the finger. That's where mine tend to bend. Only a couple of them can I sort of get any flexibility at the tip. But this is Sid. Sid was a gymnast, And doing gymnastics I thought would help because it's obviously strengthening everything. But I noticed that every time Sid, you know, when gymnasts like have their hands raised at the end of a movement and point their fingers, Sid would point the tips of the fingers as well, and it looked really funny. But it became an issue when Sid played a bit of basketball by themselves, and literally the ball hit back at the fingers and hurt them. So Sid like miscaught the ball and it whacked the tips of the fingers. So the day that my youngest was born, Sid ended up having an operation on one of those tips of the fingers to insert a stilt into the bone to straighten it. And Sid was 5 at the time. And so the surgeon didn't realise that all of the fingers were actually like this. It's just that this one had just been whacked with the ball. And I don't know if it's weakened it, but effectively it's been like, they've just been like that ever since. Every tip of every fingertip is individually able to move, but also it's like there's pressure there. They get irritated a lot, and that must be the hypermobile aspect, is that I imagine being used susceptible to being damaged, maybe. Yeah, and so so it was called mallet fingers when you've got, they call it, I think, mallet fingers as if you've got weak joints at the top, the very tip. Because literally all of your fingers sort of look crooked. Yeah. Press ups are difficult. So it's just noticing that things like press ups, the weight on the body at the wrist is causes quite a lot of pain. And you're usually in some sort of physical therapy as a result. Yeah, I can't say I envy people who are hypermobile. You know, unless you're able to like make some sort of career out of it, like some sort of contortionist. Just it seems to be quite a pain, really. I think I need to go down a bit on the details not happening. Am I streaming on Saturday? Should be. I didn't stream last Saturday because it was we're having a meal to celebrate ancestors. Tom did a mash of 9 sorts, which is a traditional Welsh dinner, and it's the first time he's ever made it. And I was also feeling really quite poorly, so I just about had enough energy in me to sit downstairs and eat that, which was yummy. It was nice. But I definitely couldn't do both. Maybe this needs to be more round. I can't really tell what type of jars they would have had, but you know, I'll just go with the type of jars that I suppose I've got. I've got these like Kilner jars. All these pots that my mum's given me. Oh, how funny that you've been asking me about my dreams. I literally had a 3-part saga just last night. And the third part was literally like something out of some fantastical movie. And I've got my dream book next to me and I need to write it down. And I thought I'll write it down before the stream, but I got distracted. Just crazy. It's also a full moon today. Happy full moon, everybody. Time to honor where we've come and now start relinquishing what we no longer need in this at this time. Make space. What needs to come in? And it's a Scorpio full moon, which is, I can say it's your birthday full moon. Your birthday is the day before the new moon, Penny. So and that's an interesting day because it's also the day that 3i Atlas is at perihelion. It's at the closest it'll get to the Earth. It's the same day as the new moon, and it's the same day that the new moon, so sun and moon, are also conjunct with Mercury, and all 3 planets are also opposite Uranus. So who knows what that day will bring or what storyline that is opening for us. Yeah, full moon today, Oliver. The morning moon, or darkest depths moon. Is that a British name for it, Oliver? Or pagan reference for it? The almanac's name for it. Hey, Keys. Good to see you. What was that? Oh, Oh, thanks very much. Woohoo! Oh, that didn't come up. It is on my screen. I was like, why didn't it show? It is showing. I'm just not looking in the right place. I think I've obviously got my my settings skewed as well. You. I've decided maybe I could use any money that comes in to pay to this, which is what it is, as a specific pot that goes towards getting my teeth sorted. And you'll all be helping me do that. Thank you. So Oliver thinks that the British names, sometimes LIA puts in names from other communities like Romanese, but I don't think that's the case this year. LIA? Leah. What's that? Oh, Leah Lendertz. That's the author. Oh, right, of the almanac. Is it? Yeah, I'm going to have to, straight after this, I need to write down these dreams. Because they were wild. Wild as in so strong and vivid, and literally like a 3-part saga that even when I woke up I was like, wow, I can't believe I actually dreamt those. This is a pot. I think this is going to be a proper pot type one. Oliver says, all my dreams translate to you are unhappy with some aspect of your life, and I'm like, well, thanks, Captain Obvious. Yeah, if it could just be a little more specific. I sort of feel like some of my recent dreams have been, this is a past life. This is actually what happened in the past life, and it's not at all a metaphor. It's an actual, this is you in a past life, and this is what happened. And that's what I'm telling myself. Some of these I probably will end up like adding, maybe I could add the liquids, that line as well, if there's liquid in them. I can't imagine they'd be glass though, they're more likely to be pots. So you wouldn't actually see what's in them. Okay, just get through these pots. Could it be almost like Winnie the Pooh's honeypots? They don't have to be. They don't all have to be so straight. Why am I being so pedantic? And also be like higgledy piggledy. Oh, Olive, Keith says, my dreams. How about we do a math test where you don't know multiplication? For a very long time, I was having dreams of still being a police officer, and I left the police 12 years ago. But every dream where I was a police officer, I didn't have my full equipment, and I didn't have a locker properly. And it's like my locker would be there, but my name would no longer be on it, or I couldn't find the key. So I'd be called to go to jobs, but I never had my proper stuff. So I was always unprepared, and it was the frustration of trying to explain to people that I haven't got what I need. And I think that's potentially my body trying to tell me to let go. I'm not a police officer anymore. And it's really weird how there's obviously an aspect of me that is still like, this is who you are. So I can imagine, obviously for other people it's a different career or a different subject, but that's a long time to still be thinking in my dreams that I'm a police officer. So Oliver says he's decided he's celebrating Thanksgiving this year. I think we're going to import Black Friday. If we're going to import Black Friday, then we should also import the Day of Niceness that comes first, rather than jump straight into brawling in shops over discounted loo roll. I mean, to be honest, I sort of see the 1st and the 2nd of November as our equivalent to what is potentially Thanksgiving, and that we could use that where we honor ancestors and we are grateful for our where we've come from, but also for other people. We're also grateful for the people in our lives, and just keep that going all the way through as a topic. That's why I think the folktale season has to be a thing. He says, yeah, also my dreams, and you are late for class because you didn't find your elephant. Yeah, the late for class ones. You know what? I had one fairly recently, considering my age, where I was late for class and I turned up naked, but I was fine. I felt absolutely okay about it, and that is probably the first time that's ever happened, which is probably a sign that I'm feeling much better about who I am as a character in this game of life. Yes, Samhain basically that's our total end of all harvest festival. Yeah, interesting dreams, right, Penny? And Oliver says Lunasa is being the start of harvest. Lunasa being the 1st of August. Is that right? Yeah, 1st of August. Autumn equinox in the middle also kind of is. We have 3 kind of harvest festivals, as that's the end of the grain harvest. Yeah, do you know what? These aren't the sort of things we learn about in school. It's trying to remember these names and what they represent now. Take some memory. They don't come around too often. It's like once a year you've got to remember them, what they represent as well. Okay, let's do these little. I work from the left actually, it might make more sense. So do I want them to go down? What did I do with the other ones? Yeah, they sort of just go in the jar. Bit wrong. Oliver says, although it's all different these days with different crops that grow through the winter, changing climates, etc., and the UK has harvest festivals all over the place because different areas have different festivals at different times depending on the local harvest. Harvest festival sounds fun though. You're right, Penny. It's and I think it's the stories behind harvest festivals are literally are literally just like Thanksgiving, in the sense that you're grateful to Mother Earth, the day you're grateful to the sun, you're grateful to the earth goddesses for providing you with food. And it's also being grateful to the neighbours for collecting the harvest, because it was obviously very much a team sport. Where's this one going? I suppose if you grow your own food, that is going to be something you're more aware of. We're just so disconnected from it because we don't need to grow our own food in the UK so much. We rely on imports rather than the space in our own gardens to grow food. Okay, they look reasonable. So that's that second shelf done. Turn that one down. I think I was actually working on a third shelf. Yeah, that one. Yay! I love that dancing mushroom. Oliver says, I guess disconnected depends on where you live. That's very true. I'm in grain country. Really? When I think about, I suppose it's, yeah, is it because it's very flat? Full of large crop fields. And you see the crops growing through the year. You see the harvest happening. And you have to keep stopping on the roads to let the combines through. I mean, I don't see the crops around here, but I know they're happening because my partner Tom, his dad, has a farm and he's grown up farming with the crops all around being part of his life. Crops and animal husbandry. You know, all his cousins have farms. I suppose I just don't see it in the sense of I need to do it in order to feed myself. Cheekbones. Penny only sees feed corn. Oh, feed corn, not feed the corn. Feed corn now. The Fens are known as the breadbasket of Britain, Oliver tells us. But the arable land extends into our part of Northamptonshire, too. We have national milling and baking corporations based here. Didn't know that. Oh, Penny says, I don't know what's in the field right now. It's just little sprouts. I'd already done those jars. I hadn't given. Oh, I think it was just because it was turned away, but. My random vegetables. I think I wanted them to be carrots, but they're obviously stunted carrots. And then some sort of pot again. Oh, books. Back onto books. And then another few pots to go. Just gonna have some of my shake. Just turn off my mic a sec. So what have you guys got going on this weekend? I'll be streaming. I'm going to try and catch up on some of the other streams. Tomorrow night I'm watching a lecture on how to be an illustrator. Or something like that. It's an illustrator giving a lecture about how to be one in some capacity. What are you doing with these? Never too old to learn new tricks. And what else is happening? Oh, I've got a medical astrology lecture seminar this weekend. I'm quite excited about, with Judith Hill, who's like fantastic renowned medical astrologer. So that's gonna be really good. still got so much to learn. About all of it. But, you know, in 10 years' time, I might be useful to somebody. And he's resting, recovering. Oliver doing a final garden tidy up before the winter. Yep, I'm gonna make sure that Tom does the same. He knows he's got to prepare the. Oh no, he wants to build a different vegetable bed. We've got one large vegetable bed, which is too big for him to manage, and so he wants three vegetable beds in the same spot, which means completely taking apart the one we have. So that, yeah, I don't think any of that's going to be ready anytime soon. Oliver's also got a National Trust AGM on Saturday. Ooh. What happens at a National Trust AGM? They tell us how they're doing, what they want to do, and we vote on whether we like it. Oh, okay. And then usually one of the pro-hunting gammons gets angry and storms out. It's the season for it. I can imagine hunting is a very different sort of culture in the US, Annie, than it is over here. Hunting over here is it's hunting foxes, you know, it's hunting rabbits. It's not like hunting bears or anything like that. Deer. But I suppose they do hunt deer somewhere. Maybe. Do they hunt deer? We do have deer hunters, right? But, you know, there's the element of acquiring animal for food. and then having it as a sport, which is what a lot of the UK hunters do, because it's more of a social group thing than it is actually about survival. And it still goes on, you know, even here in North Wales. There's always fox hunting going on, which is so unnecessary. And it's like it's a very old dress up thing where, you know, you dress up in all of your gear, have a horn, and look like one of the paintings from 1700s. And it's just like, it doesn't wash anymore. So that can go in the bin along with fireworks. Yeah, that's the deer hunting over here is about keeping numbers down. And also it means there is venison to eat. But I suppose it's why it's expensive. But fox hunting is the one in which they all get dressed up and rampage around the countryside on horseback. Yeah. It's sort of, for me, it feels like a very what's the word I want to, a very unconscious sport where there's almost like an immaturity, a development immaturity in needing to dress up like that to carry out something that is highly traditional and completely unnecessary, and highly destructive. So yeah. It's what you'd call, it's very much not woke. And we like to be woke. Have our senses and our morals and our ethics checked. The good of humanity. There's always going to be a fox hunting lobby. They tried to get us to overturn the decision to ban them. Give it up. And he says you need a hunting license in the US and it's illegal to trick the deer. Oh, bait them. I didn't know that. I imagined that was how people did hunting. I suppose it actually has to be a very natural hunting experience. Okay. Those two are a bit crooked, that's fine. So that's that shelf done. I need to relook at what skulls look like. I mean, can you see the bone inside? Or is it like proper hollow? Can't remember. So let's turn that one down. More books and pots. Should have thought of something else to put on these shelves. And maybe I should have done less shelves so it was less content to have to. Then I wanted it to look full of lots of shelves and things. Sure, I've got my cloth lid. Little pot foot. So Keys has a silly question. What font is used in your community Adobe Community Expert badge? Now you're asking? I don't know, because I actually got the badge straight from Sil in the Adobe Community Expert Manager. So I don't actually know. I've never asked that question. I can ask. If you'd like to know. There we go, got my frilly pots. Maybe I should have something stood behind, like this type of book, or what else could be hidden at the back of a shelf? Next silly question. How does one become a community expert? You apply. If you get referred. So you basically just fill in a form. Like you pass, you send back to Sil. So apparently you have to be helpful, Oliver says. I don't know that I'm entirely helpful, if I'm honest. But I try to be useful. There is a little difference. As opposed to being annoying like Oliver. Are you? I've never seen you be annoying. You're like a resource for everybody. Oliver tells it like it is. I mean, so do I. Or maybe I say, I point things out that are odd. Maybe. I think my label's making everything look wonky. Thank you for sharing that, Oliver. Is that the information page to apply? Oh, it's not in your country. There you go. There's also that they're only in specific countries. It's a bummer. Hey, Uma. Okay, one more book. Now I've got 3 more on the top shelf, but I've almost finished all of the books. Good to see you, Uma. Sorry I've missed all of your streams lately. I've been poorly. But I'm taking all of my tonics now. Had all of my antibiotics. And feeling better than I did. What day is it? It's Wednesday. Yeah, gosh, last Wednesday I felt dreadful. Sometimes you just have to rest. So, is that still, I mean, it's still relevant to you being in that, is it Lithuania that you're in, please? That you're not able to do that? Or are you able to do that? Still beta test. Or is that country specific as well? I need something to go at the back of here because I feel like there's too much random space. Crystal ball. Think of a crystal ball. Crystal ball. Like that curve of the book that I did. Don't want to lose that. So add the crystal ball here. I suppose cloths, crystal balls are covered in cloths when they're not being used. So potentially it's going to have to be hidden. Maybe I can just sort of like put a little cloth over the top. Look like a pudding. No, I was going through my files earlier, trying to reorganize all of my files, and I found some acrylic paintings that I'd done 14 years ago for Christmas as Christmas cards, and they were little like A5 size canvas boards, and I absolutely loved them. I loved the style that I'd used, and I have no idea why I didn't do more. Like each year sort of build on that collection. So I've dug them out, and I'm going to try and do some fresco versions. As well. So I know that I don't use acrylics anymore, but I could do some versions made in fresco. Here we go. You can tell it's a crystal ball at least. It's hidden. And then the top shelf. Where the treasure chest is. And the urn. You couldn't tell, it's an urn. Oh, am I drawing the wrong one? go. That's my urn. Okay, the treasure chest. I think it should probably be square rather than bread shaped. But nice thick bound over it. Make it more. I've done making it look like it's a loaf of bread. Oop. Easy. Okay. What I think about this having gold type edging, metal edging, and it's a wooden box. Okay. Probably make this look like some sort of belt wrapped around it, maybe. Have rather than seeing a lock, have some sort of strap. There we go, and then this corner. What's this corner? Oh, I need the edge in there as well. Here we go. It's got a strap around it. It looks like it's got some sort of metal edging. Right, my candlesticks. I suppose I could add candlesticks elsewhere. I think I'll make these smaller candlesticks and more of them. One, two, actually, move it, sizing right. Okay, see you later, Penny. This one. Oops. Move this one back. The other one in the middle. Why have I still got hold of the same? I need to deselect first. That's why. Okey-doke. So what have you been up to, Uma? Oh, cool. Still working on the font. Hope it's coming along nicely. Be able to catch that on Saturday. Where are you up to? Oliver says, in relation to the Adobe Community Expert beta testing, So the page where you used to be able to join Adobe tests and betas was Adobe Labs, but it doesn't exist anymore. It just redirects to Firefly now. It might be worth you're going to point that out to Sil, because that way it can at least be updated. I know that some people are really good at the customer service type things, whereas I'm just really good at finding what doesn't work. In a sense, just like that, whereas in the sense that I'm trying to figure things out for myself and I come across things that don't work. So that's how I'm useful. Whereas people who are helpful are some others who are able to help the community. Whereas, yeah, we have our different skill sets, I suppose. Didn't want to do that. So I could maybe have this bit more drippy. I'm gonna have some drippy bits. And let's try and get this base. This one, a drippy candle. So I was thinking I need to watch, I need to sort of catch up on the major film things around this time of year. And last year it was catching up on the Lord of the Rings. Catching up as in watching all of them. Because I hadn't actually watched all of the Lord of the Rings, like from start to finish. And now I thought, right, this year I'll focus on Star Wars because I've never seen, I don't think I've ever seen a full episode, a full start to finish of any of the Star Wars series. Especially not the new ones. I just was not that interested, to be honest. But apparently they're good stories, so I was thinking either watching all of those, or I could actually watch the Hobbit series because that would follow on from last year. I still haven't watched the Hobbit series. You know, I went to watch I actually went to the cinema to watch one of them. I fell asleep because it was so long. Whereas at home, you know, you can stop and you can watch the next half the next day or something. Ah, you've got them, Oliver. The Lord of the Rings files on DVD, director's cut for, and I think we have as well. That's we got them at some point, but I actually watched the ones that were on Netflix. It was just easier than having to dig out CDs or DVDs. So I think I was considering Star Wars, but I think I'll leave Star Wars to next year. I'm just not quite ready for it. And actually spend this year catching up on what is this whole tale that Tolkien was sharing about The Hobbit. So that's what I will be doing this festive season. What have you guys got planned? Anything? I've also, hopefully, I'm going to be visiting my eldest in Cambridge. So I've also got a trip to Cambridge to somehow figure out. They're at uni and she finishes at the beginning of December. The term finishes and I have like until sometime beginning of January to be able to make a visit. And then she said, like, no, you cannot disturb me during my university week. It's fine. I'm pretty glad I don't plan much over the festive season. But these are like certain things I can look forward to. So I can look forward to just focusing on watching like The Hobbit as a family activity. And then focus on visiting my daughter and her husband, son-in-law Joel. And it's weird how I'm able to sort of see each season then as its own type of activity. Which makes it easier to sort of get through, I think. It's funny how I'm going through old Instagram posts that I did years ago, or within like the last 5 years, of how every day was the same, that it was difficult to have any sort of not to see the point, but to just what's the word, to sort of see the difference between seasons. Even everything was just so samey. So having a sort of dedicated activity that I can sort of put towards the season, I find it's helpful. And it will help me remember that year, because they just blend so much now. Oliver says, I don't plan anything. I'm working any days that aren't public holidays. So you don't, I suppose you take your holidays at other times of the year. Is that what you're saying? Do you take holidays? Here we go, I've got 3 drippy candles. So yeah, you get 25 days and you mostly take them spring and autumn, sometimes summer. Is that to do photography? I'm quite prying now, aren't I? You take care, Keys. Go and rest yourself. Right, I've just got 3 more books to do, and then these shelves are actually finished. I don't, I obviously don't have a job, so I don't have to figure out holidays, but Tom does. He tends to take his holidays based on what the kids are doing, or if he's got any called like adventures. I say adventures. He does a lot of adventure stuff where he'll go and learn things, so they're almost like working holidays. Or to be fair, he takes his holidays to take me to the doctors or the hospital. Bit naff. See you, Keys. Oliver says, mainly because it's hot in the summer and I don't feel like traipsing around the countryside with 10 kilos of camera kit. That's a fair point. Do you ever go to North Wales, Oliver, for your photographing? Not for a very long time. It's a nice place, Wales. What about abroad? you get to go abroad to do photography as well. You've never been well, I've never been to the Channel Islands or Ireland. I have been to Ireland. I went when I was 18 for a day trip from Holwyn Bay. And funnily enough, the only time I've ever been to Ireland, and this is a short story, but it's a fascinating story. So I'm not even 18 yet, I'm 17 still, because my birthday is not for another month. But we've basically all gone there to go and drink. And me and two friends, Katie and Vicky, we went off and did our thing. And most of us did that. We went off in 2s and 3s. And it started raining. So we nipped into a side street just to shelter from the rain, because it suddenly started bucketing it down. And we were sat on a bench in the side street, which was basically like the beginning of some sort of indoor marketplace. And as we were sat there just sort of chatting, raining in Ireland, as we were sort of sat there chatting, my friend just suddenly sort of whacked me with her hand and then pointed. And I looked up, and Ronan Keating just walked past with his wife, who was the lead singer of Boyzone. And we just looked at each other and started laughing, because of the chances that would happen was so... It's like, we've never been to Ireland before, and we are sat in the most random place, and Ronan Keating walks past with his wife. So we thought, we thought it was hilarious, and then we thought, we can't wait to tell our friends when we see them, and we just left it at that. And then we got up and walked through the what do you call those indoor marketplaces? I can't even remember what they're called. Anyway, as we walked through to sort of get out the other side, to another side street to leave and go back down to the main road. This is in the centre of Dublin. We didn't realise, but we were walking through a small market that opened out into what probably looked like a series of side streets with other shops and maybe some sort of the back of a hotel. And before we could leave this sort of covering straight in front, we had to literally walk past the rest of Boyzone, who were all stood there together, obviously also out of the rain, waiting for a car or something. So we had to walk past all of Boyzone with their partners without laughing, without looking obviously, I wouldn't say starstruck, because none of us were Boyzone fans at all. But they were a massive, massive band at the time. And we just had to play it cool. And we're 17-year-olds trying to play it cool. Walking past them, it's like, yeah, this happens every day. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Exactly. And you know what the worst thing was? We get we get out of there, we're giggling all the way and like elbowing each other then once we've left that all the way to the main road. And people on the main road are stopped to look up the road, to look up where we've just walked from, because they can see them. And we're giggling once we got onto the main road, which is the main road is actually a pedestrianised road, and I can't remember which road it's called. And we were laughing our heads off. And then we came across our friends and we told them, and they didn't believe us. That was the worst thing, is that our friends didn't believe that we'd actually seen all these people right up close and been cool about it. And yeah, but that was my one and only trip to Ireland. So I will never forget that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, not even being fans of them. I mean, it's not bad, their music. I wasn't a boy band type person at all. It just, the irony of it all and the coincidence. Yeah, it was nice to have that memory. But yeah, I don't need to go to Ireland now. I've done it all. I mean, had it been U2, I probably would have been in a different state and may have well asked for an autograph. Maybe they thought we were weird because we were 17-year-olds and not asking for autographs, and that was more suspicious. What's an indoor market called? It begins with C. I'm sure it does. Not a covered market, gosh, I'm sure there's a specific word for it that I just cannot think of at the moment. Precinct. That's the word. It wasn't C, it was P. A precinct. That might be a new word for you, Uma. Yeah, or a shopping centre or an arcade was basically, I think, the various words we've used for it. I can't remember. Shopping precinct or a shopping, an old school sort of shopping centre, really, because it was obviously you know, it had like old style glass features. Really nice sort of ornate Victorian style glass features around some of the shops. George's Street Arcade. Do you know what? I really couldn't even pinpoint it on a map, because not long after we went to Temple Bar and I got really drunk and I didn't really know where I was going. If I was just with a group and some of us knew how to get to the train station to the ferry. And I just had people basically telling me where to go, which was fine. Back when I did drink, I don't anymore. Right, I've done those 3 books. I think I finished all of my features for the shelving. Yay. Turn all these shelves back up. Look at that basket though. Hey, with those apples. I'll have a look on the map as well though, Oliver, and see where Georgia Street is. If that's to see if that's actually possible. Maybe if I can see an indoor picture. Yeah, it's a bit of a maze, isn't it, Dublin? Don't ever try to drive into the town centre, it's a nightmare. Probably will never do that. But Dublin's where my great-grandmother and the rest of that family came from. So, I know a large part of me comes from Dublin. Okay, so all those are done. If I just turn down her, the pot needs reworking. The brickwork at the front, so the whole of the front area needs reworking. And shelving is mostly finished, I think. Some of these shelving bits probably could do with looking like wood. Go. So Uma, do you remember I said I'd was getting the loop earplug things? Well, they have arrived and I've tried them out in the house, and I was quite surprised. So I wore them in the house just to sort of test what they felt like. And normally during the day the traffic can be quite loud in front of my house. So what I wondered was what do they mean when it sort of mutes or it really reduces the louder noises, but you can still have a conversation with somebody. So I had a podcast on, or YouTube sort of thing I was listening to, and I could still hear that perfectly well. But then I couldn't hear the traffic outside, and I couldn't hear the huge lorries. And then my dog started barking, and she's got quite a loud bark, and it didn't bother me whatsoever. So she could bark whilst I was listening to this podcast, and it was absolutely fine. So that's my first impression of them. And obviously I need to wear them. I bought them so that I could go to the theatre and not be overwhelmed by the crowds in the auditorium and in the lobby, or the loud noises they make. So I could probably still hear the loud noises they make. They'll just be less loud, which is what I'm quite glad about. So yeah, already impressed. So I got the one that is for loud music, like concerts. I probably don't need that. I'm wondering if I actually only need the one that's for maybe walking down the street. So I'm actually going to get a second pair, because I don't often go to concerts. This is like the first time in a very long time, but I'm more likely to be with a group of people at a dinner, for example. So I'd want to hear the person sat next to me, but don't want to also be having to listen to the conversation at the end of the table. So that's the next test. Oh, Oliver says he used to have an office in Clondalkin, outskirts of Dublin. Yeah, I've heard of, so Clondalkin might well be I remember seeing it in some of my family history research. And he says, the first time I drove in Ireland, I had a conversation that went, wow, 120, that's fast. That's kilometers per hour. Oh, so the car's speedo. Thank God. Oh, right, you were confused as to whether you thought you were driving in miles per hour. And they actually do it in kilometers per hour over there, because they're metric. Is that right? Which makes sense. They are metric. Metric makes sense. Imagine us trying to give up metric over here, to give up miles per hour over here. Why does that look peculiar? Oh, right. Go on then, Oliver. Enlighten humour. Very annoying. It is annoying, isn't it? My mum still uses inches for everything, and so if she asks me for a measurement, I tend to give it her in centimetres for me, that makes the most sense. And she's like, no, she needs it in inches. And I'm just like, how does that make any sense? But she literally cannot measure. She doesn't understand what the measurement would even feel like if it was in anything other than imperial. Right, I've realised it's actually quite late, and I've been talking a lot. Time has flown, but I've got a lot done. I've got all of my objects done on my shelves. I've done most of the... So I've got to get this table sorted behind her. And then I've got to do her, and I've got to do the pot. So the details are coming along. Haven't done any of the type of shade, other than the basket, and the skulls. Haven't really done any type of shading. So yeah, I don't know if I even will. The idea I had, actually, I've just remembered there's some up here. The idea I had was, what if I just did this as line work and then shared it as a line work piece, and then people could colour it in themselves? It feels like a fishbowl. Yeah, it's sort of rounded. I see what you mean. So at least just need to sort this, because that is annoying me. I'll just turn this up. So the character that this potion's intended for is called Morvran, and I just missed the N off, and it was quite annoying. So I'm just gonna try and do some old style lettering. There we go. Looks terrible. Sandrine's had a few choice things to say about the UK's mishmash of measurement systems, and I'd probably completely agree with whatever those choice words are as well, because it's almost like we're trying to keep hold of something because it's British. It's like, well, it's not helpful. So yeah, they have Swarovski loop as well. I've gone for the rose gold colours. I think they look quite nice. Okie doke. Right, let's turn this all up. And do I have anything on that one? Nothing there. 1, 2. Oh, I bought some loop. It sounds appley. Right, I'm gonna take a quick picture. This. Watch your eyes. There's gonna be a quick flash. Oh, I need to move my... I put the Folktale Week thing over here, actually. Just give me a sec. Oh, wrong one. Put that here so we can sort of see. Quick flash. And There we go. Right, that's it for me, guys. I've gone way over than I normally do, and I might be paying for it tomorrow. Yeah, the rose gold. I like the idea of rose gold. So thank you very much, Uma, Oliver, Antoine, Keys, and Penny for popping into the chat to say hello. And it looks a bit kitsch. And I hope you have a good week. Thursday tomorrow, Penny's not streaming, I believe. Penny's having to rest. Good. And then Sean will be live tomorrow. Jane is live every day at the moment. Friday, Uma is back. Wade is live tomorrow as well. Be about 4 p.m. UK time, I think. Friday, Uma is live in the evening. And Uma is live Saturday and Sunday, 3 p.m. UK time. I will be back not 3 p.m. I will be back at 7 p.m. on Saturday for some Kidlit portfolio work. And yeah, Jack is also going to be live probably at some point this week. I usually wait for a message. Until then, is there somebody I should raid? Would you like to go to bed now, or would you like me to send you off? Somebody. Bedtime. Uma's saying the Z's. Have a good sleep, you all. Let's get some good rest. The wintering is beginning. Good night. Bye bye. Bye bye bye.